Hey, and welcome to the Solid Verbal. Now would be a perfect time to consider subscribing. Yeah, that little subscribe button for year-round premium college football content. That's it. Here's the video. Enjoy. Subscribe.
Welcome back to the Solid Verbal. Boys and girls, my name is Ty Hildebrandt. That fine gentleman over there, the one, the only, still the incomparable Dan Rubenstein in the heart of the Midwest. Still nursing some creaky pipes, but getting better.
I am so washed, Ty. Between the pipes, I prepared for this show sitting on an ice pack because my hamstring seems to have fully given out. Before our live show Friday night, I might hire like the Knicks trainer to work me over backstage. SolidVerbalLive.com. Or, you know, the Liberty, the Nets, whoever's around. And I am just here because podcasting professionally requires almost no work physically. Sometimes you have to move around some lights. But other than that, Ty, thank God this is what I do for a living because I'm not built for anything more exhausting.
Well, if you will be in the New York area, come on out and see us, solidverballive.com.
Yeah.
The show, again, is on Friday. It's college football, the game show. We are in a good place with content. I'm excited.
I love it.
I am so excited about this show. So come on out, play the college football game show with us. Maybe Dan's going to get his hamstrings worked over with some warm buttermilk. I don't know.
By Spike from Little Giants' dad?
By Spike, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know. Whatever the situation requires, we will be there. We will be turned up to 10. We'll be excited for the live show. Please come on out if you're going to be in the area, solidverballive.com. This episode, this preview episode, all of our episodes, frankly, driven by our good friends over at Geico. And the only other thing to announce is that tonight, as many folks listen to this on Thursday, we've got the Spotify Live show. We're going to be doing the Spotify Live show live in Spotify headquarters.
Yes, that's
in New York
true.
City. We're going to be doing it in the same place because you're going to travel to the city for our show on Friday. And so we get to do this thing in person at like Spotify proper, which is going to be freaking cool.
Does that mean we get to listen to like the new T-Swift there? Do you think they have the servers ready?
I mean, they've been asking questions about like security related stuff.
That's
you know,
true.
like we're going to need the names of everybody so we can get you in. So they probably run a tight ship. But if we can get access to the back end servers, who's to say that we can't get a first listen to whatever it is, Midnight Anti-Hero? I've been reading about T-Swift. I don't know. Okay. Something like that.
Fair enough. But look, it's especially appropriate for how I am viewing transition pro move week 6 in terms of my nickname. Is it not? I don't know if there's any more housekeeping you want to get to before we fully dive in.
No, I mean, we do the Saturday naming ritual about this point in time. Every preview episode. Mine is second string Saturday.
Okay. Why is that?
Second string Saturday because, you know, there's the Bryce Young thing with the sprained AC joint. There's the KJ Jefferson thing where he got his head hit. There's Texas, there's Oklahoma, there's Notre Dame, there's maybe LSU. Texas Tech is playing its own second string. You've just got a bunch of second string quarterbacks that I think stand to have an outsized impact in week 6.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, you neglected to mention what? Texas Tech, TCU playing there. I mean, Max Duggan, currently their second string, didn't start the season. So I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. I was looking at something, and maybe this is somewhat related and tied to it, but now that we're in week 6 and I see, you know, Texas's arguably most impressive result in losing closely to Alabama, or TCU blowing out Oklahoma, or NC State looking pretty strong against Clemson, not getting it done, but, you know, lays waste to Texas Tech, or Ohio State beating Notre Dame, or Ohio State and their entire schedule, whatever. I'm not saying that this week is more real, but there is a prove it element to me that I'm going to say, I don't care what you did 3 weeks ago, right? If the season is a living, breathing thing, I say, so what? So what? I say, so what Saturday? Keep proving it to me. Because whatever you did 4, 5, 6 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago,
that don't impress me much.
I'm holding people to a high standard.
Whoa. So
on
are we going
Saturday.
So What Saturday or Shania Saturday?
I think Shania Saturday, because we had Sheryl Crow Saturday last year. And so there is something about the sort of middle-aged ladies at this point who can still bring it, who are pop sensations in the 90s, 2000s, whatever. And I don't know. There's something spicy about Shania.
That don't impress me much.
Now, Canadian for the quintessential American sport. I understand that there's a bit of a divide there. I still say it's Shania Saturday because I am counting on these teams to say, yes, we did something 3 weeks ago, but we still got it. We're still proving it to you, Dan Rubenstein and Ty Hildenbrand. Shania Saturday.
I like it.
Yeah.
Give me that sound just one more time.
That don't impress me much.
Shania Saturday coming at you here, college football week 6. Okay, Windows.
From the minds who brought you Centaur Saturday, it's Shania Saturday. What is our window of opportunity?
Our guy Connor, who writes the college football, what you should watch on TV, the solid slate that we publish on solidverbal.com every Friday. Go and check it out if you haven't already.
Yes.
He sent me a message the other day asking, what do we do if there's no window? Because we've got, if you've read any of Connor's stuff, we've got this really cool little module that looks kind of like the Windows logo, which we don't have rights to use, I don't suppose. No. But nonetheless, we use that as kind of a way to signify when this so-called window is. Connor was having a hard time finding it. I said, just don't put it on there. No big deal. No one's going to miss it. People give us a hard time about the segment anyway. And then I went to look just to sort of confirm, like, what's his deal?
Right.
I can't find one either. Through and through, for me, it looks like a really good week of games. I was originally inclined to say late.
Okay.
And then I realized that I screwed up on our run sheet and accidentally put the Florida State NC State game in the early block.
Right.
At like the 12 o'clock block. That's actually an 8 o'clock game on the ACC network. So in tandem with the other matchups that are taking place at night, like I don't see a window here. So this is like 2 weeks in a row where if you did not build up any goodwill throughout the month of September, you're kind of up the creek without a paddle. Like you need to find a way to get in front of the TV at all cost.
Counterpoint, the captain planeting of Max Johnson, Drew Pine, and Iowa State all playing offense at the same time at night might indicate that there is less watchable television potentially in the night session. I still think it's a great one, but if you are going to start flipping around, be like, okay, let's see what Drew Pine is up to. All right, let's see what Max Johnson is up to. All right, let's see Iowa State attempt to throw the ball downfield. It might be tough sledding at nighttime, just in terms of pure entertainment, if you are going to isolate any of the windows. But that's how I view the sport, not necessarily how you do. But I'm with you that there's no real clear window, but that would be mine, that if you want to have a backup reservation to get some tortellini, might not be the worst idea.
Shall we dive in?
I'm ready.
Dan, Ty, help. I need picks of the week.
It is week 6. It is our picks of the week, brought to you by our good friends over at verballers.com. Dan.
Love it.
You know verballers.com.
Love it.
It's our Patreon. Going out, check it out. Support the show. First and foremost, you support the show by joining at verballers.com.
Spell it for the people.
verballers.com.
Thank you.
You also get access to bonus features, early access, the Discord. You can vote in the Verballer Top 10 poll, which has really taken off. Every time we post that poll, we have new people sign up because people want to be part of it.
Yeah.
For a long time, it's been like a walled garden, these polls. Who can vote in?
It's true.
Kind of anonymous, right? No longer.
Yeah, Ralph Russo.
Ralph.
Yeah.
Where you at, Ralph?
Maybe we should see if you can. Maybe we'll have Ralph at the live show if he's in town. We'll see.
Okay. Yeah, he's a New York guy, right?
Yeah, he's in Brooklyn.
Week 6.
By the way,
again,
when you said bonus features, don't cut this out of the show, Ty. Don't cut this out of the show. I see you over there marking this moment on verballers.com. Both we have bonus features and bonix features occasionally. It's not official, but sometimes we have bonus and bonix features. Continue.
On the last episode, we organized all of our games by window.
Yeah.
We got some positive feedback on that, so we're going to do it again.
Okay.
Kind of like we used to on Solid Saturday on the live stream.
Mm-hmm. People
tend to think of their day in this manner, and so do we.
Yeah.
So why not? Let's start early with the Red River Shootout. 12 o'clock ABC. It is Texas at 3-2. They are a 7-point favorite, squaring off against Oklahoma, also 3-2. I was surprised to see that they even put a line out for this game early in the week, given the uncertainty around Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah, well, both quarterbacks, really, yeah.
Well, both quarterbacks, but I think Dylan Gabriel especially after the shot he took in the head. The last I saw is that he's in concussion protocol.
Yeah.
And there haven't been much in the way of further details that have been given.
Did you see the secret footage of Oklahoma practice, by the way? Did you see that on Twitter? No. Somebody from like a nearby building was able to like zoom in and film practice to get footage of Dillon Gabriel. He wasn't doing anything in that specific moment, but I remember seeing it. It was somebody who covers Oklahoma. Forgive me, I forgot who retweeted it. Said if this had happened under Lincoln Riley, the person filming this video would have been treated like somebody filming something inappropriate in a third world country, that they would have been executed on the spot. And so this is a new era of Oklahoma football, I suppose. But yeah, there was nothing too insightful about it other than it showed Dillon Gabriel walking around the field, not running an 11 on 11 drill or something.
Yeah, so I mean, I think there is some uncertainty there with respect to Dillon Gabriel. I think if he's out, Oklahoma gets steamrolled.
Wow.
If he's not playing,
well, okay.
I just don't see it. I don't know how they would win.
Thematically, I think this has a lot to do with a number of games this week. Could it be argued, now it's more difficult because it just happened last week, could it be argued that if we are both of the same mind of you throw out a team's best day and their worst day, could it be argued that last week everything just fell apart, everything went wrong for Oklahoma? The injuries, the defensive lapses, the inability to adjust, the inability to do anything. Obviously, things change when your quarterback goes down. But could it be argued that like that was probably the low point of Oklahoma's season and that we shouldn't automatically think that is the new normal for Oklahoma?
I don't think it's the new normal, but
just without Dillon Gabriel.
Without Dillon Gabriel, it's a problem.
Right.
I can understand any offensive woes playing with the backup quarterback that you got from Pitt. I get that. But the defensive thing you can't fix overnight.
It's true.
And you go up against a good offense that can execute. I mean, Texas is many things. They're certainly not consistent, but they are a good offense when they want to be. And that gives me, I don't know, it skews me out in this matchup.
Sure.
The fact that the defense is still relatively unresolved now after what we saw last week, and there could be some questions around Dillon Gabriel. I kind of like Texas even if he does play, because there is a chance Quinn Ewers is going to be out there. And I don't want to put too much on Quinn Ewers. I know, as you said last week on the recap show, even if they've got Hudson Card, he's still pretty good.
Yeah, especially as he gets healthier himself. Yeah.
Right, to win this game. If Quinn Ewers is out there, I think he's a different cat. And I think this is a really advantageous spot for the Texas Longhorns. So I'm inclined to go Texas minus the number. The bigger issue, I think, on the Oklahoma side, if I can get back to defense for a second, is over the last 2 weeks, if you look to see what they've done, it's kind of a car crash. It really is. And two specific things that I'd call out for this game, because I think they're really important tells. The first, 109th in tackle success rate.
Mm-hmm.
Self-explanatory. It's just they're not a good tackling team. We've been dunking on Texas for this for a good long time. Oklahoma, through 1 month this season, is worse than Texas is. So just keep that kind of in context.
Woof.
Secondly, Oklahoma, by the numbers, terrible in man coverage. Terrible in man coverage. And here's why that's important. On average, teams play man coverage about 38% of the time. Oklahoma plays it dramatically less, only 14% of the time. And when they play it, they give up about 10 yards a pop, which is among the worst in the nation. Now, some of that's situation dependent. I get it. But I think it's important here because Texas hasn't been great at throwing into man. So we're going to have a situation where Oklahoma may have to play something that they're uncomfortable with in order to stop Quinn Ewers or Hudson Card. And I'm just not sure after what we saw last week that they can do it. So I favor Texas here. And if I were putting a confidence metric on it on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd probably make it like a 7.5.
Man, I'm with you. Just Texas is just not one of those trustworthy teams at this moment. No pun intended with Xavier Worthy. I'm taking Texas. I'm taking Texas for much of the same reasons that there's dependable's too strong a word with Texas, but there are weapons on offense that I feel good about for both of these teams, to be sure. I feel better about the quarterback situation if the starter is not able to go for both of these teams. And defensively, Texas has been mostly decent, which against pretty good teams, Oklahoma hasn't been. So,
yeah,
I just think this is going to be, I think Oklahoma will be ultimately over the course of this year, I think they're going to be fine. but I think we might be in the midst of a stretch where this is like the gap year. They're finding themselves, that it might be a weird October-ish, and then they kind of round into shape as the season goes on. I just think we're too early on in that stretch right now to feel good about Oklahoma. Some of the things are correctable, right? Some of the things, whether it's communication issues with the TCU guys just getting way beyond the secondary, some of that can be, I think, locked in on, whether it's scheme, whether that's just teaching over the course of the week, whether that's just playing more conservative for the sake of just not getting destroyed deep. You still got to tackle Bijan Robinson, right? You still have to do things that you can't teach in 4 or 5 days of limited practice time. So I'm going Texas here as well. I don't feel great about it, but I think there's a little bit more to like about the Horns at this moment.
Yeah, and it's, by the way, it's not like Texas plays shutdown defense either. Even if it's Davis Bevel, the backup.
Sure.
They're going to score. Oklahoma is going to score points on Texas. I think there is a real advantage, though, for the Horns offense, given what we know about that Sooners defense.
Right.
I think this profiles as a monster game for Bijan Robinson, who, through his own success on the ground, sets up some shots down the field for Xavier Worthy. Disclaimer, Xavier Worthy has dropped about 10% of the balls thrown his way this year, which isn't great.
No.
Got to clean that up. But he's the main downfield threat. I think given the other tendencies that I outlined earlier, Sark will find a way to put him in that position to win down the field. And especially if it's Quinn Ewers, I really like Texas.
By the way, Jordan Whittington has been good. I've really enjoyed his work. As if Xavier Worthy is going to be getting attention, they've been hitting the tight end pretty well. Hudson Card, specifically, that's Sanders, right? Jatavian Sanders. So I don't know. I'm not going to be as seduced by Texas as you always seem to be, but I don't know. They're becoming more fun to me, and that's a check mark in this game that Oklahoma doesn't really have.
I got Texas 41-30. I think a lot of points.
I'm going to go 35-24.
Okay, we sort of agree. Let's also stay in that noon block FS1. TCU 4-0, a 7-point favorite on the road at Kansas 5-0. 2 top 20 teams, which blows the mind, more on the Kansas side than the TCU side, but Kansas is the Cinderella story this year. They're the best story in college football. 5-0, as I said, jumped up to number 19 now in the top 25 poll. TCU, by virtue of their big win last week, jumped up to 17. Game day is now coming to town. And Dan, I am really conflicted here. Oh, am I so conflicted?
Okay. Explain why.
On one hand, we've got the feel-good story in Kansas. On the other, you've got the old flame trying to work its way back into my life. After what happened last week with the Oklahoma, the win over Oklahoma, TCU.
Have you been a pushover in that department before? The old
what's
flame,
that?
Have you been a pushover in that department before? The old flame trying to work? Okay, just making sure.
Just TCU.
Okay.
I was not doing the full deep dive on either Kansas or TCU before this week. And this week, I kicked up the research a bit. I will admit I did wince a little bit when I saw what Kansas has done against the pass this year. That was tough to look at.
Pre-Iowa State.
It seems like important context against the Sonny Dykes team, right? Like that.
Sure.
It seems like it's important. This isn't a great defense. Neither is TCU, but especially on the Kansas side. They're very good offense, but defense. I don't know how I think that works in a matchup against TCU.
Okay, so we don't actually know what either one of these teams are, right? It's Kansas's first season of being competitive, so we don't know the degree to which they are week to week through a conference schedule going to be what they showed themselves to be in September. And we don't really know what in the short, medium, long term TCU is going to be as their defense presumably strives to improve from last season, as their offense, I think, probably accomplishes what they on some level should have been these past couple of years, because they're doing it with a lot of the same players and they're just sort of maximizing their potential or doing it more often. So we don't know in year one what exactly these teams are going to look like as they navigate a conference slate. I think I'm going to go TCU lock of the week here.
Really?
I am.
Lock of the week.
I think it is likelier that Kansas is a great story and good and going to go to a bowl game, but after Iowa State lost the way that they did, missing the field goals and having a very winnable moment against Kansas last week, I think Kansas is good. I think they're entertaining. I think TCU, if there is a team that is likelier to comfortably win this game, I think it's the Frogs.
Yeah, the Kansas profile is really interesting because if you look at what they've done so far, they've had less talent than pretty much everyone on the schedule. But they're not turning the football over. They're not shooting themselves in the foot with penalties. The team is just really well coached.
Totally. Completely.
And to some extent, that has canceled out that talent gap. So if you're a Nebraska fan, you're looking at this and you're saying, we've got decent enough talent. We just can't. The coaching's been the problem.
Right.
We'd love to get Lance Leipold. Everybody would love to get Lance Leipold at this point.
Yeah.
But I just think this is where the rubber meets the road. You know, that good coaching aspect to Kansas is good enough to make up for many sins, but at some point there are limits to it.
Mm-hmm.
I think TCU has so many ways to win, and in this game, they're far and away the best offense Kansas has played. I just don't see how Kansas is stopping them. I think TCU gets enough stops to get some separation. I hope I'm wrong because Kansas, again, is a great story, but I got TCU by 14 points, also my lock.
Wow, double barrel. So
going against Cinderella.
The case against TCU is it's a letdown spot going on the road to a game day game, to the energy that's going to be filling Lawrence, Kansas. And so that's a difficult thing to navigate. That's a difficult hurdle. But also, Iowa State, once again, one of the least explosive offenses in America, especially through the air. TCU, are they still the most explosive offense in America? Yes. So I just think certain things you're able to get away with and win.
Exactly.
And certain things you're not. And so I'm going to go Frogs here. I don't love it, but in my heart of hearts situation, I think it's pretty good.
I've got more locks too.
Okay.
But I feel pretty good about this one. Two other games here quick I want to mention in this early block. On ESPN, we've got Tennessee 4-0 -3 at LSU. 75% of the money when I looked earlier this week was on Tennessee, and the line moved in LSU's direction, which is your flashing red light, reverse line action alert.
Right.
Is there something here that Vegas knows that the rest of us don't? My question is, let's start here. Is there any look ahead in this game for Tennessee with their rivalry against Alabama on deck?
No, absolutely not.
Okay, we're in agreement there.
Yeah. At LSU has going to Baton Rouge? No, nobody looks past that. Yeah.
LSU has won 4 in a row now after that opening week loss to Florida State. We both felt pretty good about LSU before the season because there's so much talent there. I'm still not sure if they're good, but Jaden Daniels has had a good year. He's kind of the whole offense, which is never a great formula in the SEC, but okay. I don't think there's a whole lot of resistance waiting for him or anybody from the Tennessee defense. And that's sort of why I think I go LSU here, actually. I love the Tennessee team. I like Hendon Hooker. I want Tennessee to win because I don't like Brian Kelly.
Right.
And I think Tennessee's long overdue to have some good football stories. But I do think the combination of LSU's win over Mississippi State a couple weeks ago with the fact that the line has moved in LSU's direction despite all the obvious signs pointing elsewhere, I think that steers me towards LSU. I'm not super confident about this by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
But if they can shut down Mississippi State's offense and score on that defense, I think they can beat Tennessee at home. So I'm going to go LSU plus the 3.
I love Tennessee here.
Really?
Truly. Yes. So LSU barely beats Auburn with the help of a fumble recovery touchdown. That's correct?
Yeah.
Jaden Daniels is supposed to play this week, but he had to sit out the end of a close game against Auburn because of leg stiffness, tightness, locked up, whatever. He was on the sideline, in and out of the injury tent. I went into the season liking LSU than I do right now. And I think LSU has talent on both sides of the ball. You know, I mean, they're more beat up on the defensive line than I'd like, but I don't know. I think Tennessee's in a good place. I think all of your criticisms and concerns about Tennessee are justified. But right now, who do I feel more confident in scoring 30 points in this game? It's absolutely Tennessee. It's absolutely Tennessee.
No, I agree with that.
And if Jaden Daniels has to exit the game entirely or for parts of this game, I don't trust Garrett Nussmeier at all. So I'm going Tennessee here. I love going against the Sharps. I don't care at all where they go. I don't care. They don't do all that well. I'm the surest thing in college football picking.
Sure.
Because right now I've been terrible against the spread. So maybe that's why you go with LSU. I don't know. My logic is all over the place. I'm going Tennessee. I feel good about it. Sometimes it just comes down to who can score points, who has the better quarterback. And if Auburn's playing LSU tough and they need that turnover return, the fumble return to win that game, not a replicable formula.
No, that's and that's fair. Like I said, I'm not super confident about it. I am rooting. I will root openly for Tennessee in this game.
Okay.
I will. But I don't know. Something about this matchup creeps me out. I'm going to go LSU. That line feels low. I don't know.
Okay. And look, I'm being a prisoner of the moment. I realize this. LSU has played more games than just the Auburn game. But where they are right now, the slow start to that game, if they're going down, they're giving up those early touchdowns. How many touchdowns is Tennessee scoring in the first quarter and a half, half of this game, if the LSU defense is as lost as they appeared to be at times? That's the difference to me.
No. Let's close out the early block real quick here. Arkansas at Mississippi State. This line has moved a great deal.
Okay.
It's now Mississippi State -8. I saw a set of projections that has Arkansas losing 5 of its next 7 games. Mm-hmm. I don't think they're that bad, but it is a tough schedule. It is legitimately a tough schedule. They are legitimately taking on some water after losing 2 straight. To make matters worse, Arkansas could be without KJ Jefferson because he hit his head in the Bama game.
Yeah.
If he can't go, it's either Malik Hornsby or Cade Fortin.
Yeah.
Sam Pittman was sort of playing coy. He said that KJ's got some mild symptoms. They're talking to doctors, blah, blah, blah. Nothing definitive. This does not seem like a great turn of events for Arkansas. Not at all. Because of it, I believe that's why the line jumped from 5 to 8.
Sure. Makes sense.
It's a big jump in the span of a week. I think this game was always going to be a struggle for Arkansas given the state of their defense. But I think the risk, first off, I wouldn't touch this game. Until we know the status of KJ Jefferson, I wouldn't want to touch this game with actual money. But the risk here is almost entirely on the Arkansas side because if KJ is out, this one turns, I think, into a runaway train because he is the offense.
Yeah.
He is the offense. Without him, I don't know what it looks like. The defense, which isn't that great to begin with, is overstressed from a really good high-tempo offense in Mississippi State that's already played really well so far this season. I want to wait to find out the deal with KJ Jefferson, but Mississippi State's winning this game, probably going away.
So, yes, KJ Jefferson is the majority of that offense, but Raheem Sanders has been really good running the ball as well. And Mississippi State hasn't been amazing against the run this season. So if there's anything to like about this matchup for Arkansas, whether or not KJ Jefferson plays or is the fully or near fully realized version of KJ Jefferson, that's a nice matchup for Arkansas. They should be able to run the ball if Mississippi State has to stay somewhat honest in the passing defense, in their efforts against the pass. There's so much pointing to Mississippi State in this game. Where's this game? It's in Starkville?
It's in Starkville.
There's so much pointing to Mississippi State. Maybe a slight letdown spot after A&M. I don't know.
See, I mean, the counterpoint to your argument, though, and you're right about the rushing attack, but how many, really good teams have they played?
It's true.
It's how many really good teams have they played that give you a good sense for where this team's at? I don't know.
You're talking Mississippi State?
Yeah.
That they haven't stopped the run against those teams is the point. So if you don't like their schedule thus far, Mississippi State, and they beat LSU, who I don't believe was LSU able to run that game? I don't know if your memory is any better than mine, but the things that are pointing, they played Arizona, LSU, they ran away from Arizona late, and they comfortably beat A&M last week. Shut them down in the first half. That's a Devin A. Chain team. So
Devin A. Chain. Yeah.
I got to go Mississippi State here. Just because it's too difficult with the questions at quarterback and how many big plays that defense, like Jalen Milroe was running wild, Jahmyr Gibbs was running wild. Not that Mississippi State has that type of offense, but there was just so much grass. I'm going State here to win by, 10 or 13 points.
Let's go to the afternoon block, 3:30. The big one is Utah at UCLA.
Yeah.
Utah at 4-1. UCLA at 5-0. Utah favored by 4.5 points. This one's 3:30 on Fox. I'll ask the question again that I asked about Tennessee, but I will direct it at Utah. Is there any look ahead here with USC on deck?
I don't think so. It's on the road against a UCLA team who just looked pretty damn impressive against Washington. Did they not?
Correct. That is
I don't
correct.
think I think they're aware what their next two games are, but they're aware that UCLA has been scoring 40 points a game this year, usually not embarrassing themselves. They end up running away from Bowling Green. They survive South Alabama. I am now of the mind that one, South Alabama's frisky, if we want to go in that direction, and two, I'm willing to write off a team's worst day. It's one of my best qualities as an Oregon fan who must do that this year to maintain any sense of sanity. I actually like the Bruins here.
Do you really?
I do.
Why?
I like the Bruins here because the offense has been rolling. I think Utah's a very good team. Has a team ever gone undefeated through the Pac-12 portion of their schedule? I don't think they have in the 9 game. Maybe you can quote me on that I'm forgetting something, but somebody always loses. And I think Utah's a really, really good team. I don't think they're a perfect team. And losing their best weapon out wide-ish in Brent Keithy, the tight end. And then you look at some of the underlying numbers. 3 of their touchdowns, they scored 42 against Oregon State. 3 of those touchdowns came on short fields, about 20, 25, 36 yards, something like that. All of them came on short fields, and good teams take advantage of opportunities. That's what their defense gave them, so that's where they scored. I'm just saying, I don't know if they can count on 2, 3, 4 interceptions like they were able to do against Oregon State. And when given those opportunities, Utah, with its running backs, didn't run the ball for crap against Oregon State. Now, I'm not deeply in love with this UCLA defense, like all of the women begging to get back in your life that you referenced earlier on in the show.
Of course, yeah. So many.
But they were good against Washington. A Washington offense that had been rolling pretty consistently. All I'm asking for UCLA's defense is to be okay, to be fine. They weren't always that way last year. They largely weren't.
No. Well,
they make the change at coordinator. They lose a bunch in the portal on both sides of the ball. But if you're going to ask me situationally, UCLA scoring points, Utah perhaps taking a step back on offense, maybe it's a look-ahead spot. I don't know. With the Trojans coming to Salt Lake the next week, I think I'm going to go UCLA is, what did you say? They're how many point dog at home?
4.5.
I'm going to take the home dog. They're my Yakko's home dog of the week. How about that?
Are they really?
They're my Oinkster home dog of the week because the Oinkster, should it still be open,
home dog of the week.
A stone's throw from the Rose Bowl. Great hot dogs, sandwiches, fries, you name it.
Wow. Utah has dominated UCLA.
Sure.
The last 4 times they played. Tavian Thomas last year had 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
This was a UCLA team a year ago that started Ethan Garbers, so perhaps it's not apples to apples here. But I like Utah a lot. Surprise, surprise. I just think it's a good matchup for them.
Okay.
I take your point on Brant Keithy. I think that's problematic, but I think they're good enough in the secondary. I mean, you talk so much about Utah taking a step back on offense and UCLA playing good defense. I think that's valid. But let's talk for a second about the Utah defense, which maybe you can't count on 3 interceptions a game, but this is a secondary that's
was
good
3
enough.
just for Clark Phillips. It was 4 overall.
Right. I mean, this is a defense that's good enough to devote resources to stopping DTR, to stopping Zach Charbonnet on the ground while not having to compromise any pass coverage because they're so good in one-on-one coverage. They've been really solid this season as well. On the offensive side of the ball, maybe not as good with running as we would have expected with Tavian Thomas, myself included in that sort of, wrong projection thus far. But they're a good passing team. They've been good at passing. They've been efficient at passing. Again, short
passes.
But it just feels to me like the passing game's been efficient enough. The running game hasn't fully ramped up yet. Utah and Washington are 2 different teams, man.
I hear you. Totally.
I just think Utah's way more physical up front. Maybe not as physical as I thought at the start of the year. And maybe there has been a step back, but I still think it's just a different cat than Washington. So give me Utah here. Give me Utah minus the 4.5.
I definitely think that in practice, in film sessions, Chip Kelly and the offensive staff at UCLA are looking DTR square in the eye and say, don't you dare. Don't you even consider, not for a second, don't you even think about throwing to Clark Phillips' side of the field. Never.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Oregon State had those same conversations the week before.
Yeah, they did after, for sure.
Yep.
3:30, CBS, Auburn at 3-2, Georgia at 5-0. You want to take a guess at the point spread here?
The last I saw was right around 4 touchdowns. In the world,
29.5 points.
Yeah.
Is your point spread. Yeah. Zombie Georgia. I have to make a sound for that, but I guess we'll see how they do this week. Georgia tasted its own blood last week against Mizzou. Now they come back home.
Rivalry game. Oldest rivalry in the South.
Game.
Yeah.
Rivalry game, potentially to drive the final nail in the Bryan Harsin coffin. We'll see. We'll see what goes down here. It would be one of the most college football things of all time if Auburn somehow kept this close, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Rivalry game, coach who's probably on his way out. There's not a lot to like about Auburn at all, but the point spread is huge. Georgia's already shown a proclivity 2 weeks running now to, I don't know, not be as good on defense as expected, sputter a bit on offense.
Just missing the little things, yeah.
Yeah, just a bunch of little stuff here. So Auburn is not going to win this game. That is not what I am saying. Please do not quote me. Do not clip that. Do not post that somewhere on the internet. That is not what I am saying.
Okay.
29.5. College football is weird. Bryan Harsin back to the wall. Hopefully he does everything he can. All the stops are fully out in order to try and keep this thing close. I'm going to go Auburn plus 29.5.
But why? I understand.
I don't know, because I want to, Dan. That's why.
I was just going to say.
Is that good enough for you?
I understand feeling hesitant about Georgia's excellence in the moment. And that Auburn was able to essentially lead you to a wagering win against me, in which I have to now paint my face like a tiger Halloween week.
That's correct.
Because I lost the tiger bet between Auburn and LSU, taking the Bayou Bengals. It's tough. It's tough because we might have to make peace with the fact that Georgia is merely really good. And if Georgia's merely really good and Auburn is just this chaotic vending machine of who knows what's coming out of any given play.
Right.
I understand taking the points. That it's what's this? It's 13-10 at halftime, and then it's sort of a pseudo crock-potting, but Auburn ends up losing by 17 or something. Oh, that makes sense. They covered pretty comfortably. So I think I would normally take Auburn in this situation. The problem with me is how sloppy and how turnover prone they've been in some of their lower moments. And that's how a game gets out of hand quickly, even if you're not full on excellent as expected, as it might be the case with Georgia. So I'm going to take Georgia in a net crack. I'm still a believer in the net crack phenomenon. Oh, God. Ugh. That makes me feel like this.
Oh, yeah. Settle.
I'm taking Georgia here, 41 to 45-13.
All right, suit yourself.
Yeah.
3:30 FS1.
This game will convince me of Georgia's lack of reliability.
3:30 FS1. We've got Texas Tech. We've got Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State favored by 9 at home. My actual opinion here is that Oklahoma State wins and covers because I don't trust the Texas Tech defense. They're a nice team. They're a fun story. I don't trust the defense. The problem for me is that I'm so invested in Texas Tech that I feel like I need to just take the points and forget about it. Because we've long given up on this notion that we are any kind of ace bettors, ace pickers against the spread.
True.
And so there has to be a certain number of these games every year. We just pick because we want to. We want to pick a certain team to keep things interesting just for our own well-being. For me, this is one of those games. I've already established myself as somebody who undersells Oklahoma State and Spencer Sanders, and we got people calling into the Spotify live show every week, reminding me of that simple fact, of which I am fully aware. I've gotten so far down this Texas Tech path that I feel like I got to go get Red Raiders here. So I'll go Red Raiders plus the number. I'm not even going to think twice about it, even though you know my real opinion on the thing. What does this game look like to you?
I think Oklahoma State wins this game by 17 to 21 points, and I didn't even think about it for very long, which is probably obvious in listening to me. I don't think Texas Tech is especially good. I don't think they're especially good on the road. I think Oklahoma State is good. The dependability factor for Texas Tech is not there week to week. They get themselves in weird games. I'm going Oklahoma State here. I think there are too many ways for them to win. I don't think that they are crazy impressive at skill positions, but the combination, once again, quarterback and defense, and how quickly they have been able to score at times, I'm going Oklahoma State to very comfortably win this game, pseudo bordering on lock.
Okay. 4 o'clock ABC, Ohio State 5-0, Michigan State 2-3. Ohio State a 26.5 point road favorite.
Yeah.
What a crazy line. And it's completely believable.
Mm-hmm.
If you've watched any of these teams so far, I would love to take the points here. I would love to sit here today and say Michigan State is my home dog of the week.
Right.
I just don't know what I'm betting on with Michigan State at this point.
I can help you out if you want some.
No, I don't need help.
Okay.
I don't need the boost. I look at projection systems. Projection systems actually think that this number is 8 to 10 points too high.
Okay.
In terms of the point spread, that it should be closer to like maybe 17 in favor of Ohio State, but I'm not sure they've fully priced in how bad Michigan State is and what this game could look like after what we've seen over the last couple weeks. So, this pass defense is bad. It was bad last year. It's still bad this year.
Yeah.
It's just not going to bode well against Ohio State. Ohio State has so many different ways they can kill you. So for me, it's Ohio State minus whatever. It's a big time stay away game in terms of actual betting because the line is just super high. Two teams that, have history. I just don't know what I'm getting with the Spartans at this point. So
it's in East Lansing, is it not?
It's in East Lansing, yeah. But I just, by default, have to go Buckeyes.
So last year, by the time this game was played, the general consensus was like, oh, Michigan State, good team, pretty good team, whatever, really cool season for Michigan State. Kenneth Walker coming through as like one of the country's best running backs, big win at Miami. Like really, really cool story, Michigan State. And then Ohio State beat them by 50 points.
It killed them, right?
Ohio State made the 2021 Michigan State Spartans look like the 2022 Michigan State Spartans. And now they're playing the 2022 Michigan State Spartans. Kenneth Walker did nothing in this game. I think he had something like 6 rushes for 25 yards, and that included a 15-yard rush. It was like 5 carries for 10 yards last year against last year's Ohio State defense. I think the Buckeyes are winning by 38 points. I think they are just going to lay waste. I think this is the type of game, and you can quote me on this when Michigan State loses by 3 or wins this game. I don't care. I'll pick them again. Even if they lose this game, I'll pick them again to win by 40. I don't care. I think this is the type of game where you're going to see some Ohio State freshmen, plural, freshmen, where you're like, oh man, what are they going to look like next year, right? Because they're going to be getting so much time in this game in East Lansing. Michigan State they are the neck crack team for everybody. So they're inflating people's worth.
You're thinking like an equipment manager game here where, the kid who they gave the scholarship to almost out of sympathy, he gets a couple snaps, maybe like 4 snaps.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think it's equipment manager. I think is last week, this kid was an Uber driver. And he's kicking field goals for Ohio State. I think it's that type of game.
Wow.
Because
respect, the ultimate disrespect.
This is the type of game, given their history, given that they're going to be going up against each other for recruits, This is the type of leave no doubt, complete disrespect. I know that term is being used with Michigan State, has been used over the years. I think if you can make it 35-7, why not make it 55, right? So that's the type of situation I think we're heading into this game.
Limb from limb is what you're describing.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all.
And but finally in this window, I just thought this was interesting. North Carolina at Miami. Carolina's 4-1, very quiet 4-1. Miami 2-2, not so quiet 2-2. They are favored by 4 at home.
Yeah.
Their offense so far has looked stuck in the mud for 3 of the first 4 games.
Yeah.
They lost in consecutive weeks to A&M and then Middle Tennessee. They had the bye week now, the Canes did, to sort of digest the situation. And look, they've got an inviting defense in front of them in the form of North Carolina as they roll into town. I'm giving Miami one more chance. They got one more chance. They got 2 strikes.
Yeah.
They got one more chance. If the offense does not get on track against North Carolina, it ain't getting on track against anybody. So show me what you got, Canes, this week. Go out there first quarter, put up like 14, put up 17 points against North Carolina. Are you laughing? I think you're laughing.
We're talking about the same Miami. This is the Florida one, not the Ohio one.
That's correct.
Yeah.
This is a pep talk here for Miami, Florida. You get one more chance. You had the bye. North Carolina, not good on defense. Not at all. So if you're going to make it happen, this is the week to make it happen and start building towards something.
I hear you.
No. Miami -4 for me.
Miami -4. I'm going North Carolina here. I don't like North Carolina. We talked about this the other week about how I think ultimately this is the beginning of the end of Mac Brown. I don't like Miami at all. They're beat up, which weird. Mario Cristobal teams always hurt. Maybe look under the hood with that one.
I love Bitter Dan with respect to Mario Cristobal. I love it.
Look, it's like the Oklahoma Lincoln Riley situation, but it's so far looking pretty good. Now, ignore the Georgia game. But I think Oregon fans are in a much happier place today as we record this than Miami fans. I've seen a lot of internet conversations, take it for what it's worth, of those Oregon people might have been right about Mario Cristobal. A month in, they're already like, I don't know. I think Miami coaches, assistant coaches are good. They've proven themselves across the board, just like I thought Oregon coaches were good across the board. There's something about the Mario Cristobal marinade that has the marinade? I don't know. That has me worried. All right. That his stamp on the program largely comes between February and August, not necessarily September and December. I'm going to take North Carolina here because, again, if there's a team I feel better about getting to 24 points, it's North Carolina. And we have a quarterback benching. We have skill players hurt. We have a lost defense in the first month against kind of flawed teams. Technically, Middle Tennessee, a directional school. North Carolina, a directional school. I know North Carolina's not a directional school. I just needed to draw a parallel somehow. Middle Tennessee, not that good also. Like, they're just not that good. And they found a very simple way against Miami. So I'm taking North Carolina team, just riding on the Underthink Express here. And you can say I have Mario Cristobal baggage. Totally okay.
I love it. Steer into that baggage.
The marinade.
Steer into that hate. That is the marinade.
Yeah.
All right. Late games. Farmageddon, huh?
Oh, my God. I love this game. I love this
7:30.
game. It's going to get so odd.
Oh, it is. 7:30 ESPNU. It's Kansas State 4-1. Iowa State 3-2. Kansas State a 2-point road favorite. I am puzzled by Iowa State. I am thoroughly puzzled by Iowa State. Meanwhile, I think K-State played a look-ahead game a couple weeks ago against Tulane because they've been nails ever since that point.
Also, Tulane might be pretty good. Willie Fritz, good
Tulane
coach.
might be pretty good. Tulane might be pretty good. I'm on K-State here. I don't like taking the road team in a rivalry, but it's not a point spread that scares me off too much. And though I think Iowa State's got potential, I think they're still figuring it out on offense. Plus, I don't really want to be the guy who bets against the whole Adrian Martinez wave that's going on now. Have you seen these numbers he's putting up?
Okay, hold on.
I don't want to bet against that.
Let me stop you right there.
I don't want to bet against that. He's a new Adrian Martinez.
Yeah. Let me stop you right there. Remember last week when I said the Michael Penix experience is very specific. Look excellent, look lost. Adrian Martinez experience. Look excellent, look lost. Iowa State at home with what I believe to be a very, very good defense as an underdog in a rivalry game in which Matt Campbell has kind of dictated terms to Chris Kleiman in Kansas State these past couple of years.
Uh-oh.
Iowa State double lock of the week. How about that?
Double barrel lock of the week.
Lock of the week.
Dot, 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 dot.
Whoop! Yeah.
Don't do that with your voice, man.
I know, it's
Don't do
killer.
the Berman whoop. You're going to
That's
lose
killer.
your voice for Friday.
Yeah. So I feel good about Iowa State here. I don't think you need to, I mean, they can win this game 14-10, 17-13. I don't think they're going to need to score a ton of points to win this game because I think they're going to turn over Adrian Martinez a couple times. I do.
How dare you?
Yeah.
How dare you? He's a renaissance man, Adrian Martinez.
How dare you? You know, those who ignore history are doomed to repeat it.
All right. 8 o'clock CBS. We got Texas A&M at Alabama. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Talk about getting the green weenie here.
I don't know what that means. I don't know if I want to.
The green weenie is a thing. It started in Pittsburgh. It was back in the 60s with the Pirates. It was like a way to jinx the opponent.
Okay.
Long story, but it's not too nefarious, I promise.
It's not a Shrek reference is what you're telling me.
No.
Okay.
But think of this from CBS's perspective, man. Like when they got this game and they're looking at it in the preseason,
Yeah.
they're thinking prime time. They're thinking Jimbo and Saban. There's bad blood, right? Well, A&M stinks, and I believe Jimbo and Saban hugged it out by now, so that's not a hot war anymore.
Allegedly.
So CBS is left holding the bag here now with this thing, trying to dress it up on a Saturday night. Alabama's favored by 24 points, which is just depressing. It's depressing if you're a CBS executive that you got stuck with this. But the thing that makes this interesting is the Bryce Young side of it. Okay. You hate to sort of be dependent on anything injury related,
Sure.
but it makes it interesting, right? Bryce Young left the game last week because of a sprained AC joint. Nick Saban, ever the statesman, remained pretty coy. Didn't really give a whole lot, right? It didn't look like it was a horrible injury, but they didn't play him.
Right.
And the game was close, actually, for a moment in time against Arkansas. Jalen Milroe came in. He did a pretty good job, right? All things considered, had that long run. What a monster, man. Guy can run. So, you know, I think it warrants mentioning that Bryce Young could be out of this game. Could be Jalen Milroe. He's day to day. I guess we'll find out as we get a little bit closer to this thing. But how much, if Jalen Milroe plays, does this change the calculus for you when you try to figure this game out?
Oh, enormously so.
Yeah. See, I'm staying away from betting this one. This is a game where I would be normally inclined to bet on the team that I feel strongly about, which in this case is Alabama. And I'm sure that's the same for you. But without Bryce Young, it's like, again, I know I'm betting on a really good team with really good players and probably Jahmyr Gibbs getting like 35 touches. But
Right.
without Bryce Young, it's not a safe bet. Let's put it that way. Minus 24.
Yeah, my lock is that Max Johnson is going to have a bit of a time feeling out the pass rush and holding on to the ball a little bit too long. I like A&M to cover this spread because of the Milroe factor. Now, it's not a great reason because this week's game plan, if the entire time it's going to be Jalen Milroe, that they're going to say, okay, here is what our playbook is this week, right? Last week was a Bryce Young playbook. He gets hurt. Yep. Milroe thrust into action. There is something about A&M that with Bryce Young off the field, is Devin A-Chain the best player in this game? Maybe not still with Will Anderson on the other side of the ball, but one of the best, absolutely one of the 2 or 3 best players in this game. I think A&M, even in a revenge spot for Bama after last year, losing to Zach Calzada, even with the Jimbo stuff, I think A&M can do enough in this game to lose it by 14 points, 17 points, that they can get a turnover or two from a backup quarterback, that I think Alabama is just going to be conservative enough to not make mistakes through the air and walk away with a comfortable but not emphatic win. Now, there is motivation for an emphatic Alabama win because of everything that happened in the offseason. There is motivation for Nick Saban to take the stage after the game with his Coca-Cola Classic and say, well, I guess we were able to really beat up on him pretty good with a backup quarterback. That probably feels good. But even still, in terms of the back and forth of this game, I think Alabama's probably going to win this game by a couple touchdowns. They haven't been incredible at covering the spread with B.O.B. running the show on offense. So with a backup quarterback now, with the performance against Texas, it was on the road. I'm going to say Alabama wins this game 28-17, 28-13, something like that.
Yeah, I think Bama's way better. There's no chance A&M's winning this game, even if Jalen Milroe is playing.
So,
But I think the threat of him playing at all is enough to kind of talk me out of Alabama minus whatever.
Okay.
So I think I have no faith in A&M whatsoever. The only reason I'd be going A&M plus the points is because of the quarterback situation at Bama. But because we don't know what that is, I'll take the points with you. Yeah.
I don't love it. I mean, how did this A&M offense start out last week against Mississippi State? By not doing
great.
much. Yeah.
Not great. All right. 7:30 NBC. Here we go. BYU, Notre Dame.
Okay.
Playing this game in Vegas. Notre Dame's favored by 3.5. I think potentially the best game of the day.
Explain.
I think this is going to be a really fun watch.
Okay.
Between these two teams. I'm on Notre Dame here because it feels to me like the line started to show some improvement. And this is another opportunity for them, given the matchup, to assert their will on the ground against a team that doesn't play the run all that well. I think BYU is very one-note on offense, i.e., let's give it to Jaron Hall and see what he can do with it. He's been very good. Right? He's got a 12-1 ratio. He's completed 70% of his passes. He's been a very, very bright spot for this BYU offense. But I do think they need a second pitch to really beat Notre Dame on defense. Or to beat Notre Dame's defense, I should say.
Yeah.
So for me, it's Notre Dame minus the number. I feel like we saw glimmers of improvement there, and there's enough on the ground if they can continue some of that development here that they can make some hay against BYU.
Can Notre Dame run the ball? Do you think?
I think they can. There's a little bit of a leap of faith in saying that.
Okay.
But I think there has been some improvement along the line. I think they've started to turn that corner a little bit, albeit against North Carolina, which, maybe we can't take that too seriously, right? But I don't know. This is another matchup that's favorable on the ground. They should be able to move the ball in BYU.
I think Notre Dame wins this game pretty comfortably by 10 or 13 points. I think they have the single strongest thing in this game, which is their defense. I think the offensive improvement, and I'm not a Drew Pine person. I'm not a Drew Pine human.
Not a Pine guy?
I'm not a Pine guy. I'm not a big Notre Dame offensive guy. But BYU has played one team with a similar talent level to Notre Dame, and that's Oregon. And Oregon destroyed them. So I'm going to underthink this one as well and say Notre Dame could end up being one of the absolute worst 9-4 teams of all time. Because their schedule has opened up pretty nicely. If you look at things.
they've still got Clemson. They still got
the Clemson and USC. But outside of those two games, look at their schedule. Look at Notre Dame's schedule at the moment.
I know the schedule like the back of my hand.
Right.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
So I'm not confident that they're going to go through unscathed otherwise. Like they're in the JMA Wireless Dome the week before Clemson. They'll probably destroy Navy and Boston College. UNLV is a nice story, but they'll beat UNLV. They'll comfortably beat Stanford. I think BYU is fine. I think the win against Baylor, I believe, right? They beat Baylor in Provo. Yep. I think they're a totally good team. I just think there is a difference. There's going to be an obvious talent difference in this game. Notre Dame wins it by, a couple touchdowns-ish, 10-13.
Three more quick ones. Florida State at NC State.
Yeah.
Both teams 4-1. NC State favored by 3 at home. This one, 8 p.m. on ACC Network. Bit of a season-defining stretch right now for the Seminoles. They had Wake last week, NC State this week, Clemson next week.
Mm-hmm.
So big stretch here if you're a Seminoles fan. You got a lot of football to watch over the next couple weeks. My sense is that NC State's better, but sort of in neutral. And Florida State is dangerous, but way more inconsistent. Which side of that do I go? Right? There is a case to be made for both sides of this. I think I'm on NC State. I like them a fair amount. I like their defense a lot in this matchup. I like the fact that they're at home. They too may be licking their wounds to some extent after the game last week, but I'm going to go Wolfpack here.
Yeah, I'm going NC State as well. I don't like the Florida State defense at the moment. I know they're beat up. I know they've had their struggles, but the Wake Forest defense was able to largely contain the Florida State offense. So I think NC State's defense is noticeably better than Wake's. And so in a letdown spot with, I'm sure, how up they were against Clemson, I still like NC State here. And your 10-2 Noles are fun and feisty and interesting. But they're also sort of Louisville-ish, and that game was pretty close. Like, I think they're a rich man's Louisville at the moment, which still means they could win a lot of games. That they have a kind of do-everything quarterback, that they're interesting at skill positions, but defensive liability at times. I'm going NC State here to win, not comfortably, but what's the spread?
3.
Yeah, I have them by a touchdown, 7-10.
Wazoo at USC. USC's favored by 13.
Man. It was tight last week against ASU for USC. Wazoo came on interestingly, but it's Cal. Played Oregon tough, but didn't really go downfield and didn't really generate much in the way of explosive plays that weren't trick plays. Oh, man. I think I'm going to go USC, but I don't love it. I think I'm going to go SC, but I don't love it. It's a look-ahead spot. For them, I think more, because their opponent, they beat Wisconsin, which now doesn't look worse, or now doesn't look as good as it did in that moment. Man, I think you can run on Wazoo. I really just think you can, and I think USC will. So, yeah, I have them winning by 16, 17 points.
I'm not sure
I don't
Wazoo
like this. I don't like this. I wouldn't touch it because I'm not all that confident in USC as a legit good team at this moment, but I don't know.
The risk here, I don't think Wazoo's beating USC.
Okay.
I don't think they're going SC and winning. So the risk here with a bet like this is you are counting on one or two things to occur on the Wazoo side. First off, the offense to be able to score with USC's offense, which, look, I mean, the USC defense isn't exactly a shutdown defense, but I'm not so confident that Wazoo is that kind of offense. They're going to be able to put up, 35 points.
Right.
I don't have that confidence. And then on the defensive side of the ball, I mean, Wazoo's defense is okay, but against the pass, there are some troubling numbers there, right? Like success rates are good and, some of the marginal stuff is fine, but they give up big plays, and that's a problem, especially against a USC team with a bunch of big home run hitters. So I think I go SC. I think I'm on the SC side of this one, but I don't love it either.
Yeah, I wish Wazoo was especially good at one thing on offense, because I don't think the USC defense is all that special, especially up front, especially against the run. Washington State isn't bad at anything on offense. I just wish Cam Ward's strength was throwing the ball downfield successfully more than it is improvising and avoiding sacks and keeping the chains moving. That's the problem to me. That you saw it last week. Emory Jones can hit an open receiver. Arizona State's not good, but if there's an open receiver, Emory Jones will hit him, and I'm not sure that's the case with Cam Ward over 4 quarters in the Coliseum. So, yeah, I think this could be another close at halftime, and there's only so much you can do against Mario Williams and Jordan Addison. So, yep, I'm going to have
last
SC
game
covering.
Here
yeah.
On my list, I've got Iowa at Illinois. This is interesting for 2 reasons. I would not advise watching this game if you don't have to.
Oh, man.
Please, go see Cats. Literally, go see Cats again instead of watching this game if that's your only option.
Okay.
Iowa at Illinois. Illinois, first off, is favored by 3.5. They were favored, I think, by more, and the line came down a little bit. The over-under in this game is 36.5. Don't you dare bet the freaking over in this game. There might be 18 points in this game.
Yeah.
I am not kidding. This might be the lowest scoring game of the year, and there have already been some clunkers out there.
Yeah.
3.5 is the number. I would probably bet Iowa. I have no faith in Iowa, but I would probably bet Iowa plus the number, and I would definitely bet the under. And I hate betting over-unders. Don't even think about going near the over in this game because I think this is going to be a really bad offensive matchup.
I think Illinois will be fine. I think they're going to win this game.
Okay.
7 to 10 points. And Burt Bielema has an Iowa tattoo, so that's fun. We know that every year when these two teams happen to play each other and Bielema's involved. I just have watched Spencer Petras throw enough footballs to say to myself, I don't see him succeeding against what I think is a pretty good Illinois defense. And they're going to, I don't love taking the over, just like you don't, but can they win this game 21-10, 21-13? Definitely.
My other lock of the week that I teased earlier.
Yeah.
Lock of the week.
Not this game, but since we're mentioning Illinois, Wisconsin minus 10 at Northwestern.
In my backyard. Ye of little faith.
Yeah, I teased this one on one of the shows we did. I lose track.
Okay.
But I think Wisconsin beats them limb from limb. I think this is just a drubbing over Northwestern. I think the Jim Leonard era gets off to a hot start.
Arguably the beginning of the end of the Paul Chryst era. In, I think, 2020 when they lose to Northwestern. I don't hate that pick. Purdue at Maryland, by the way. That's a secretly frisky game, is it not?
A little bit of frisk there.
Maryland minus 3 at home. I don't hate the idea of watching that game. UNLV, San Jose State. One-loss teams in the Mountain West. The Spartans favored by 7.5. How about modern-day hate, Ty? Georgia Southern, Georgia State.
Yeah,
Come
baby.
on. Do you hear a lawnmower in the background? You hear that? It's me mowing through all of my correct picks. Western Kentucky, Roadrunners.
Yeah.
Not a bad game. Oregon minus 13 in the desert. In Tucson, a house of horrors for Oregon. Against your guy, Jacob Cowing, and my guy, T-Mac, out wide for Arizona. It's a scary line. It's a weird line. Wouldn't touch it. Think Oregon wins. Don't love the line. Get out of the Tucson with a win is always a success for Oregon. And then drop some big, stanky, you-know-what, Ty. Drum and fife.
It is the Patriot League rundown. You know, we tried doing FCS teams, and people said, talk more Patriot League.
They always want that Pat League.
12 o'clock. Fordham, 4-1. Lehigh at 1-4. Of course, we would pick the one weekend to go to New York when Fordham's out of town.
I know. Well, we're there before they leave.
All the college football fans are going to be coming down my way.
Mm-hmm.
They won't even be there.
Yeah, Fordham
Friday
travels.
night.
Rams travel. Everybody knows this. Fordham big.
Fordham big. 2 p.m. Princeton 3-0 on the road at Lafayette. Lafayette 2-3. You're going Princeton. You're going Yetis.
I think the Yetis won last week, but I'm going Princeton here. I am. I'm sorry. I am. It hurts.
I'm gonna go Yetis. Actually,
Look at you.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go Yetis. 2 p.m. Penn. The Quakers on the road at Multi-Sport Field, Little House of Horrors. They've renamed the field officially, but if you know, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Georgetown tipping the scales at 1-4. Dan, we both go Hoyas here, right?
Going Hoyas? No.
We have to. It's at Multi-Sport Field.
I guess, but no, it hasn't been a house of horrors lately. It's become too
Really?
corporate, Ty.
Is it?
I'm going Quakers here.
All right, let me kill the music.
Yeah.
That was too good. That was good. Finally, 4 p.m. Bucknell 0-4. Holy Cross 5-0. Holy Cross a limb from limb.
Limb from limb. When do the Crusaders take on the Rams? When is Holy Cross Fordham? Let's look up Holy Cross football, ESPN.
These Patriot League schedules are so difficult to get a fix on.
Okay, it's Halloween weekend.
What?
And it's in where's Holy Cross? It's in Worcester. Where is it?
Yeah, it's in Mass.
That's big. That's a nooner too.
Are you looking up flights? You're looking up.
Well,
flights.
I am, but obviously Big Noon Saturday is going to be there.
Yeah.
Fordham, Holy Cross, huge. Gordy Lockbaum.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, look, this has been fun. It's always fun.
Yes.
To talk through the week ahead with you on this Shania Saturday, Dan. Give me that one more time.
That
please.
don't impress me much.
There it
A
is.
nice clean pull there of that sound. I appreciate it.
Of course,
Dan.
anything for you.
Don't forget to come on out to the live show. If you are listening to this, if you're going to be in the New York area, solidverbalive.com is where you can go to get tickets. Some are still available. It will be a really fun show.
Oh, yeah.
Really, truly, honest to goodness fun show that I am super thrilled to do with you. So come on out. We'd love to meet you. We'd love to shake your hand. Thank you for supporting the show. It will be fun. We'll have a bunch of close friends there to help us put on the festivities.
Yeah.
Don't forget to go on out to verballers.com if you are ever so inclined, if you want access to, I don't know, bonus features.
Or Bonix features, as it were.
Or bonix features.
Yep.
Yeah. It sort of cuts both ways. Come on out to verballers.com. And if you cannot, by any means, get out of whatever it is you have to do on Saturdays, give a listen to our good friends over at the College Football Blitz. It is the NFL Red Zone for college football. It's on the Varsity Network app, which is free, or you can listen on ESPNU Radio Channel 84. Essentially the NFL Red Zone, but for college football.
Dream.
Starts at noon Eastern on Saturday, runs all the way till midnight. Limited commercial interruption, 3 commercial breaks per hour, which means 56 minutes of play-by-play every hour. And because they get access to the hometown feeds, you can hear the touchdowns as they happen as called by the hometown radio guys, which is cool. Hosted by our friend Stevie Speedrun, Stephen Hartzell, does a marvelous job with the College Football Blitz every week. He and so many of the other fine folks over there who put this thing together do an amazing job. So we'd encourage you to check that out if you must be on the go this weekend. Otherwise, don't forget to give us a call at 408-VERBAL-1 as you are watching the games. Don't forget to follow along on Twitter. We'll be tweeting up a storm as all this action goes down. We'd appreciate hearing from you in whatever capacity you see fit. And then come on back, I don't know, Sunday if you're a Verballer.
Yeah.
Or on Monday if you're not. You're just a public subscriber, of which we have many, and we're very grateful. We will do our Week 6 preview. We will do our Week 6 recap.
Hey, good by me.
For that guy over there, nursing the pipes,
Oh,
Dan
man.
Rubenstein. Drink some tea, will
I'm
you?
trying.
For myself, Ty Hildenbrand, hope to see you all in New York on Friday night. In the meantime, stay solid.
Peace.